Welcome to another episode of From the Horsebox. I'm Claire.
And I'm Kate. My co-host has just been gallivanting in Salzburg. Tell us what you got up to there, Claire.
Well, I'm a big fan of The Sound of Music and I loved seeing where some of this was filmed. I also found out that Salzburg wealth was partially founded on salt, hence the name. But going back to today, we've found you a brilliant guest who's farmed all his life. A very warm welcome to Malcolm Adams, better known as Seth.
Yes, we are celebrating Adams family, the Welsh version. Seth Adams farms near Bangor-on-Dee, and whose family have been here since the 17th century. He isn't completely au fait with podcasts, so this could be interesting.
Yes, welcome, Seth. We're very excited about this. A family that's been here since the 1600s. How have you researched this?
Well, the gravestones prove it in the churchyard.
Yes.
There's been farming here, John and Samuel Adams since the 1600s, and it's all down in the gravestones, really.
It's a fantastic...
And we have done the research on the family tree, which puts it all into perspective, which is correct.
You enjoy this sense of history.
Yes.
Does it affect your sort of love of the land and the countryside? Is it something that's been with you through your farming life?
Being one of the elder natives that left, I think this Halton is part of me.
And you're part of Halton.
And I'm part of Halton.
And the name of your farm is also very special.
Charity Farm.
Yes.
Well, Charity Farm, we are led to believe, was left to, actually, I think it was my grandfather's family, who were great lay readers and preachers in the church. And we're led to believe, as one of those left it to the church to form Hanmer Consolidated Charities, which is still in business today, still going, formed, and it served the parishes of Hanmer, Bronington, Bettisfield and Halton for the needy and the elderly people at Christmas times, to give them a little bonus to buy coal and perhaps a little bit of extra food and things like that. And it's still going today. After the sale of the farm, I purchased it. The interest of the money is still serving those people. Although, really today, it's not needed as much as it was.
Gosh, that's fascinating, isn't it? So while we're on names, should we just clear up how did you come to be called Seth from Malcolm?
Well, this is quite a story. It happened the first day at Penley School after leaving Hanmer.
So secondary school?
The secondary school, yeah. And failing the 11 plus, we go to the big school for it. First day there, assembly. Sat by the only person I know there, which was Alan Faulkner, a lad as I knew. Just having a little bit of a chit-chat. Then there's a roar from the stage, a finger pointing from the stage, and it was the headmaster. And I thought it's directed at me, and I thought it can't be. And then he said, "You boy." The finger was definitely on me. So off I go up to the stage to see this giant of a man, 6'4", looking down at me. He said, "Then what's your name, boy?" I said, "Malcolm Adams, sir." "Malcolm Adams? Ah." And after a pause, "Seth Adams?" "Yes, I think, Seth Adams." And that was it. And Seth Adams was, at that time, the wagon master on Wagon Train, a cowboy programme on the television.
So
and from that moment onwards, the name stuck.
Most people don't know your name is Malcolm, do they?
No, they don't, no.
So how would you describe your country childhood growing up?
Well, I thought it was, I think my childhood was spent the best of times going to the primary school to start with at Hanmer with Mr. Reg Palmer, and we had a proper upbringing there of country life, gardening, schooling, country dancing, you name it, we did it on the school. And I thought that was a good grounding for country people.
That's wonderful. It's still a good school.
And it's still a good school today, yes.
And lots of mucking about in the streams. And
Yeah, and we played up and down the streams here. We picnicked down the field at the bottom with, local children, but especially the larges and the Faulkners from Horseman's Green. And every now and again, my cousins come from Manchester, and it was egg butties, pop, fairy cakes. And when the cousins from Manchester came, we had a special treat of Vimto, because Uncle Bill used for the Vimto factory, and they always come with a dozen bottles of Vimto, so that was a highlight. And then...
Did you ever go back to Manchester?
Yeah, I used to go back to Manchester
what
with
did
Mum.
you think of that?
On the steam train from Whitchurch Station with Mum to see Grandad and Grandma and Pop, as we called him. And he was blacksmith on the docks at Manchester all his life. A riveter, actually, he was. So that was a treat. And when we went there, we always had a salad and a crab tea. Crab and salad tea, always. That was the...
Wow,
that was the delight.
Impressive. So, to quote yourself, would you call yourself an old-fashioned farmer?
Yes, I'm more old-fashioned than modern.
And so how do you cope with mobiles and computers and all the technical
not very
stuff?
well. I've just had a session now before you came, trying to get through to the VAT office to pay them a bill, which I owed by a bit of a mistake. But it turned out a nightmare on the phone, and I had to call Robert in to do it with online. He did it online for me, because I was about to lose my rag, waiting and listening to the animated voice, which always appears, and press this and press that. And actually, the music was awful.
Oh,
so,
no.
Well, but it is the old-fashioned knowledge and principles that you are so valued for. Can you tell us about the students that you've had here, teaching them about the countryside?
Yes, I've had a number of students here coming to help Anne lamb during the lambing period. It all started with Robert and his little schoolmate coming one day. He said, I'm fetching a schoolmate home. She wants to be a vet and she wants to do a bit of lambing. Well, she come, nail varnish, lipstick, this little dolly bird. And I'm thinking, God. But you can't judge a book by its cover. She turned out to pass all her exams, and she's now a vet in London. She's got her own practice. She's done well. And then we had a number of others.
She didn't have her rings on like Zara Churton?
No.
That's nice.
Then we've had 2 American girls and a Jewish girl and 2 more English girls. And I was speaking to Reshma last night in America. And she hasn't got married yet because I'm still waiting for the invitations as she promised me. And she assured me she hasn't got married and she'll be coming over perhaps next year to see me. Well, we had good times with them.
What was it that you were able to give them?
Well, I think it was a bit of my character. I was not a pushy farmer with a lot of authority that was going to drill them to do this and drill them to do that. They just took it as how I performed the lambing programme myself, and I was never pushy, but and I think they gathered it quite well, because some of the other friends they got, I know for a fact they were on other farms down South Wales and all over the country, and they'd ring up to the friends that I got here in tears, because they didn't know where to turn, because the farmer had put them under that much pressure, which it didn't happen at Charity Farm. I played along with them nice and quietly, although I'd only got 300 ewes, but 300 ewes is enough, and especially if you've got a couple of students with you, which don't know what to do, and you're trying to just educate them on things, you know. And the biggest laughs we used to have was trying to castrate the little baby lambs, putting the bands on, trying to find the nuts in the sack. And, well, God, we did have some times laughing about things like that. But they grasped it all, and they all passed out with the sheep. When they were tested for sheep, they all passed in flying colours, which I think all came from me.
Did they learn any of the conservation work that you've done a lot?
Yes, yeah, I taught them all sorts of things. We went down the fields and I showed them down the stream, and I showed them where I'd planted trees and things like that, and created wildlife corridors. And one day we had to go picking lamb dung pellets up to see, and they thought that was hilarious, to see if there's any worms in them, and the nematodirus worm and things like that. And we walked back and I showed them grasses and things, because I was in the conservation scheme, and I think they took all sorts of things in as I explained to them.
Because you've won awards for your conservation work, haven't you? You and your wife Anne.
Yes.
What you've done here.
Yes.
What awards have you won?
I've won. I won 2 awards. I won the Sir Watkin Wynne Countryside Award, which covered Cheshire, Shropshire, and Clwyd, which I was quite proud of. And then 2 years later, we won the Whole of North Wales Conservation Award, which I was presented with the trophy by Sir David Ellis Thomas from the Senate in Cardiff. He come up and presented me with the trophy, as you can see there by the picture, which I was quite proud of. And I got recognised in quite a lot of all the local papers and country magazines.
Seth, you've also had an exhibition in the Victoria and Albert Museum, haven't you, through one of your cattle?
Yes, yeah, that was quite
groundbreaking.
Yes, it was very interesting, and I'm quite proud of that. That all stemmed when I brought a small longhorn herd of cattle off. He's now become a friend of Mr. Ed Torr from Bronington, and his niece, Alice Robinson. She's a bachelor of all sorts of things. She's a very clever girl, and she wanted to promote as everything on an animal should not be wasted. So she persuaded me to sell her a longhorn bullock, which I duly did, and we had it killed at Mr. Thomas's the roast, and then Alice had the meat, and then she sold all that to different people as who she wanted, and then tanned the hide, and out of the hide she made all sorts of things: the leather coats, leather boots, handbags, shoes, wallets of all sorts, which I've got one here for myself, and jewellery out of his horns and his hoof, and then she plated them with silver. And policy is to say as every part of a beast should be used. And now she's got quite a business going, collecting hides and things off, well, I know for a fact, Lady Bamford and different people from down south. She collects their hides and goes and processes them with a small company as she's getting going.
Yes, it was very impressive. Nigel and I went.
And then we had a bit of a party in the Amber Arms. Some of the longhorn bullock we kept, and they did a big casserole with it, and we invited lots of people that was involved in the case.
So you've had lots of different cattle. You've had the Continentals, you've had the Longhorns and Jerseys and Frisians.
Yes. When I was milking the cows, some of my dairy cows I was very proud of. But then as time goes by, that went on. I moved into another era, and I had a number of Limousin suckler cows. Good health, good quality. I've topped the market in Oswestry auction twice, on a number of occasions when there was 1,000 cattle in there, and I topped the auction, so that was a feather in my cap. And then the Limousines take a bit of handling, and then, as I say, the little longhorn herd come up, and I bought these off Ed, and gradually moved away from Limousines onto the longhorns.
What's special about them with their beautiful horns?
Well, it's what can I say? The speciality is eating the meat, the quality meat. But they were quite a bit of a spectacle up the lane. There was people walking, cyclists going past, and they'd stop and they'd say, "Oh God, there's 20 longhorns in that field," which has never happened round Halton before. You know, they usually...
Are they a rare breed?
Yeah, they are a rare breed. They were a rare breed. Well, they still are a rare breed, but they're getting more prominent now.
So they are a great sight. Another of your proudest achievements was buying the tenancy of the farm. Having done this, did it slightly take the pressure off once you owned Charity?
Well, when I got the opportunity to buy the farm, it put the pressure on. It put the pressure on. I thought, God, now we've got to pay for it all. And then, as I say, we did the house up. We did that, and it was all right to start with. And then all of a sudden, the dreaded milk quota come in after a couple of years of purchasing the farm, and then that sort of slowed things down a lot. The milk quotas, we never got enough milk quota for the milk we were producing.
So it's a huge achievement, really, to purchase the farm.
Yes, I think I've done quite well.
You have.
I've done quite well, and we bought some extra land which appeared, and all sorts of things happened, and but we've accomplished the mission, you know.
With a bit more spare time on your hands, obviously not milking, you started 23 years with Right Manley.
Yes, started 23 years with Right Manley. That was all happened by chance, with helping out at a local farm sale one day. One of the auctioneers said, "My word," he said, you know what you're doing?" I said, "Yeah, well, I've been a farmer all the while." I said, "Do you want a bit of a job with us?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll come and give you a day." And then one day went to 2, and 2 days went to 3, and this was at Beeston Market, yes. Yeah, which 23 years there.
So do you have any special memories of your days there?
The special memory was of running the calf down the railway, pursuing Mr. Parry's calves I'd taken in, who escaped from the compound. And that was
How many?
only one.
One?
Yeah, but he escaped out of the compound, across the 49, over the canal, up the embankment, and onto the line, with me in pursuit.
So did you stop the train?
Then, yeah, I was going down the track, and I thought, there's a train coming. I could hear the rumble of the train. So off with my waistcoat, and I starts to wave it, and my word, he stopped, which was good. He'd had the tip off, I think, from someone. So, and you can see the calf. I said, "He's got this calf here. We've got to." He's down there, I said. So, jump on the train. So before you get on, I had to put on all British Rail high vis. I clambered up on the train, and when you're on the track, a train is bloody big.
Yes.
So up I get next to the driver, and off we go down the track after the calf. Cantering, going flat out he went about a mile, something like that, and I could see he was getting a bit short of breath, so we stopped the train. Driver gets off with me. I said, "Come on," I said, "he's tired out, I think we'll be able to snaffle him." So off we go, and he kept on going, the calf, and me and the driver kept on going, and just now the driver looked round. "Hell," he said, "look where the train is." So off he went back. I kept going after the calf. Train catches me up again. On we get again. Off we go. He said, "This is no good." He said, "I'm going to run him over." I said, "You're bloody well not." Off we go. He keeps going. And then there was a bit of a break in the embankment, and appeared a field full of cows. I thought, here we go. Bit of luck. And he spotted the cows. He spotted the field of cows, me and the driver off the train again, and the calf went towards these cows, And then the next thing, we heard a bit of a screech and a bit of a bark like that. And he'd gone through the fence and he was in the cows, which was a godsend to me and the driver. And I said, well, thank you very much. Off you go. Let's have the Ivy's trousers and jacket, he said. So I'll give him the trousers and jacket back, but what an experience.
Yes.
And we caught the calf after, and with some lads, they come from Beeston with a Land Rover and trailer, and he was exhausted, so we didn't take much catching then in the field with the cows, and off to market we went with him. And he ended up in Anglesey.
Goodness, I can't see some drivers helping you today.
No, he must have been a very special train driver, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'd like to meet him, actually.
Moving on from the train, what's your best bit of equipment on the farm, machinery-wise?
Well, years ago, it was my little David Brown tractor was purchased in 1966, which is still on the farm now and is used today. Well, quite regular. In the winter, it was used scraping out all the while. And that's... I'm quite proud of having it. I think it's worth a lot more money now than it was when I purchased it.
I've seen a smart little sort of buggy thing outside. What's that called?
Well, that's certainly Polaris Gator.
Yeah.
And I purchased that when I was diagnosed with a degenerated spinal cord. So that's my bit of a lifeline now to get about the farm and just go and visit, go around Errol's sheep and the cattle that's on the farm and go to the local village to shop.
Seth, you have a rich sporting life. I know your mother was a founder member of the Wednesday Hunt Supporters. How did you get interested in hunting and shooting and racing?
Well, it all happened. It all stemmed from Mum. Because I went hunting with Mother when as a baby, and then I was a young child, and I was still hunting with her, and she carried on, took me, and it all stemmed from there. The hunting side did, and I followed after later on with a cycle, cub hunting and things like that. I've never rode to hounds, but I've always followed, been involved with it, an earth stopper and things like that. And I shot all my life. Started when I was a young boy, round the fields with my dad's 410. It was always shooting for the pot more than anything else. But then as things progressed, I did, got a bit older, I did join the shoot at the Long Mountain when I was quite young. I was in that for 14 seasons.
So you're a conservation expert with your awards. So how do you think all these country sports fit in with the countryside? Well,
they used to fit in quite well, but as times have changed, it's becoming more difficult with things. Shooting and hunting, with as I say, you've got all doing all the fancy fencing for the conservation things, which stops hounds. They don't jump the fences like they used to, and there's barbed wire, 2 strands of barbed wire everywhere, and electric fences for sheep, which never was. And then shooting now is it's a business, and but it's getting more. What can I say? It's more commercial than it ever was. Small days has turned into larger days, and some shoots still run just what I say is proper days. But a lot of new money now is, I think, spoiling it.
So there are mistakes being made with the conservation, in your opinion, in some of the fencing?
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 mistakes made with fencing, as I think, because I was in the Tia Goffel scheme, and then we had the 300 ewes here, and so I capitalised on doing the double fencing for the sheep, all very well, but then when springtime comes and you've got 500 lambs in the fields, and you get the hailstorms and snowstorms and heavy rain, and there's no shelter. Well, the shelter's there, but they can't get to it because you've double fenced your hedgerows with sheep wire. Very well for the wildlife, but for the lambs and things like that. It's not so clever. It's just the same with everything you had to put was wooden gates. Wooden gates are all very nice, but you get two angry bulls one each side the gate, and it's soon matchwood. So
there are one or two mistakes being made, do you think?
I think so, and they're still being made. I think, in my mind, with some of these things. I've seen some on the television today about farming in Wales and the new systems they're bringing in, and I saw that is exactly the same there. You got the double fencing each side the hedgerow, but then there was no shelter for the lambs.
Let's talk about your shelter. So you've been converting barns at charity, and you have a wonderful family all on your doorstep, literally. They must give you lots of pleasure.
Yeah, they do. That's they give me more pleasure than anything else, really. But the conversion started when Robert, he wanted his independence, so we converted the 7 shipping and 2 double loose boxes into a bachelor flat for him,
which is called
Toad Hall. It was called Toad Hall by some of his mates, but I will not mention at this moment in time. But they're all good fun. And then later on, we moved now, and as I'm speaking now, I'm recording this in the milking parlour, which we managed to do just in time before my illness. So we're out of the farm now, which I couldn't get up the stairs, and we're in the bungalow, which is called Woodcock Manor. So that's how we're going on with...
Names are a good theme in this podcast, aren't they?
Well, I name these things as I'd like to think something a bit different.
Well, you're known for your love of cooking, especially the woodcock. What other favourite dishes do you like to cook?
Well, I can cook anything, really. It was all stemmed from Mother years ago, when they used to have the card parties and play cards, and I was I'd be 10 or 12, 14, always helped with Mum cooking, and I learnt from there. She'd do jugged hare and things like that. And
what about her eel dish?
Eels, yeah. I used to go down to the brook and catch eels, fetch them up and skin them, and we'd have eels for breakfast.
When did you last have eels?
Well, now that's a good question, Kate. I think it's a number of years ago now. Number of years ago.
Well, invite Claire round when you next have them. And also, it's not only sheep and cattle. There are a few horses around, and you're about to breed your first racehorse. Yes,
yeah, it was quite exciting. Yeah, it was quite exciting. It's a racehorse we've had in training with Ollie Greenall at the Wyche, and she won 2 or 3 races and then injured her leg. So
and she's got a famous name.
Sorry, Verama. So Verena. I'll get it right one. If Hattie was here, she'd say it's Verena Grandy.
Verena, very exciting. Yeah. So when's she due?
She's due at the end of March. So we've got a wedding, we've got a mare going to foal, and everything's happening.
Good. Well, it's springtime. So let's progress to the quick-fire questions. Claire, are you going to start?
I'll start, yes. I think you'll be an expert on this, Seth. The best drink for a cold day?
Nigel Churton's Bullshot.
Whoop, whoop.
And I mean bullshot.
Yes, well, luckily it's gone by the time I get up in the morning, so I don't really see him making it. I just have the debris to deal with. Continental beef breeds or native longhorn cattle?
I should say native longhorn cattle every time on the plate.
Favourite time of year?
Favourite time of the year is the spring, when new life's being born and things are growing, and that's the favourite time of the year, when the crops are growing, lambs are being born, calves are being born, chickens are hatching, everything.
So what's the best thing about being a farmer? What you've just said, really?
Yes, yeah. Being out in the fields, seeing everything, and your animals contented in the fields, your lambs galloping round, everything. But sadly, a lot of this is disappearing fast. With cattle, a lot of cattle now are housed in the sheds, which to me, it's not my way of going on. But they say it's more economical to have dairy cows in the shed and fetch the grass to them than...
Now, do you have a joke or a motto for us that means something to you?
Well, I've got an old family saying, which was created by Jock the roadie, who used to travel the country around years when Grandad was alive. He travelled around the country, and he always ended up in Halton in the winter months. And I presume he'd come back here because he knew where he'd get a good feed, and it was warm in the buildings at Bryn Newid and here. And he made a saying up, which was Oxford for learning, Cambridge for wit, London for money, and Halton for...
Brilliant.
And I tried. I'll teach when Atty gets a little bit older. I'm going to teach her this saying, and I'd like to think as that saying carries on, because I was taught it off my granddad and dad, and so on.
Well, I think that's a motto and a joke.
Yeah, we've certainly never heard that one before.
No.
Thank you very much, Seth. That was absolutely lovely.
Thank you. We absolutely loved it. It's been heartening to hear that someone with Seth's knowledge of farming and the countryside has passed some of this on to his students who will put it to good use. And I think the headmaster was also very clever to spot his star quality so quickly. We need a lot more Seths.
I think many of our listeners may be too young to remember Major Seth Adams from the Wagon Train, but it ran for 8 seasons and ultimately led to the series of Star Trek. We can't forget the Starship Enterprise. And thinking about the old days, I loved hearing about Seth's crab and salad tea in Manchester, washed down with pop. That's all for now. Our next episode will be out on the 1st of April. It's a corker and certainly no April Fool. Do leave us a great review with lots of stars, and please subscribe. Those stars help other people to find us.
Thank you for listening today, and we look forward to our next episode of From the Horse Box, when it could be you in the driving seat.